I'd like to take a minute here to discuss Chinese face reading. It's a Chinese version of psychology that I've fallen in love with. I mean, I've taken several courses in Western psychology, and I enjoyed the information that came from that. There's plenty of revealing insights into how the human mind works, both within itself, within groups, or how it works, how groups work with sociology, and all the different aspects. There's so much you can use from the psychology, such as like body language and all that. But Chinese face reading takes a different approach to psychology, and Chinese face reading may be just a single aspect of a larger like a larger perspective of their psychology perspective. I'm not sure, but this is a very helpful tool in engaging personalities. So I wanted to go through some of the details in this book about some of their perspectives on psychology. It's very interesting, and there's a lot of information to cover. For example, your face changes over time. Okay, you develop wrinkles, it gets saggier, and in effect, your personality changes over time with the physical and mental aspects that were not independent of our physical beings. I'm sure a lot of people understand that when our bodies are healthy, our minds are healthy. They go hand in hand. So if you have a strong face, you'll have a strong personality, a strong will, and that those tie together pretty much. Your face changes, from infant stage to elderly stage. It goes through all different changes. And it's important to embrace those changes that you go through. Every decade, they say in Chinese face reading, in your 20s, you have goals and things to work for. With the energy that you have and the personality that you have. But in your 30s, you have to abandon some of those. Your face changes, and your personality changes. There's some things that you reject in your 30s from your 20s, and new things, new opportunities that you embrace. So you go through your changes you want to maybe measure it every decade, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and on. Every time you hit that milestone at the beginning of the decade, your 30s and into your 40s, you will want to reject some habits you had as a younger person that could have been more risky for your health, or for your psychology, for your stress levels, and embrace new habits, because your body's changing. There's a lot of people you see it a lot on discussion forums. They want to bring back their youth. They say, oh, my body, it's looking a little overweight, I'm feeling low energy. I don't want to discourage giving in to that low energy and overweightedness, but it just gets harder as you age, and I say embrace that and just enjoy the aging process. Fight it. You could fight it with exercise and learning and stuff, but some people take it a little too extreme with all that plastic surgery and stuff. Wrinkles tell your personality. There are There are smile lines, frown lines. You develop different wrinkles based on the predominant emotions that you experience, and that's something to embrace, not hide. People tend to respect older people, and a lot of these older people want to hide those badges of honor, and they want to be seen as a youthful person. And we all do have that youthful personality within us still. We're born with it, and we take it into our older age. There's still things we do as adults that make us feel like kids, and that's nice. Embrace it, but we still go through our changes and we mature. So the face you were born with, it's a youthful glow. Your skin is non-wrinkly, and you can create your face, but you're born with a particular face, with a particular look. And we'll go into detail of those looks, but you can also create a face for yourself with your habits. Say, for example, somebody has a problem with their diet and becomes obese. Well, they'll have more fleshy appearance to their face compared to somebody who's into fitness more. They'll have a tighter, stronger looking face. Okay, yeah, the face is a map to your personality. Yeah, the Chinese discipline, in Chinese discipline, they'll read your face like a map. Well, there's particular age positions. It starts at the top in your younger years and works downward like gravity. They look for particular features on your face. As you age, if you had like like wrinkles. That's hard to describe. Let's see what else. Yeah, you start at the middle portion of your forehead and work down to your chin for reading the age patterns of your face. The professionals would be able to guess your age by looking at the lines on the age pattern on your face, pretty much. So there's a left side and right side to your face. If you were able to, like if you looked at your face in the mirror, and if you're only able to look on one side of the face and flip it over to the other side, you'll look like a different person. And if you did it vice versa with both sides, you have a right side and a left side. Here it describes the right side as public. The right side is the yin, it's public and how you want to be perceived. The left side is private, how you truly are. The left side is analytical, factual, logical, linear. The right side is creative, intuitive, holistic, emotional. So there's a left and right side. There's different aspects there. And yeah, your left and right side are never exactly similar. You may have more of a squint in the left eye when you smile or something. It's not a perfect symmetry. Narrowing of the eyes shows the heart has been closed or shut down, usually because thinking has taken over feeling. So when you narrow your eyes, you're kind of shutting off the world a little bit, closing down your heart. Okay, a person whose right eye is bigger than the left eye appears to the outside world to be open, emotional and receptive, but in reality on the inside, the person is really analytical, perceiving, or watchful. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Usually the narrowing of the eye shows that you're focused. You could be a shrewd person, a shrewd business person. Learn to bounce back from disappointments, and don't suppress your sad feelings. Let them out fully, and then think positively. That's good for keeping the energy flow. It's called qi in Chinese medicine. Let's see. Okay, here's just random facts. A higher eyebrow indicates pride. So there are people that you may notice they have eyebrows that are a little bit higher up on their forehead, naturally born with that look, and they have a tendency to feel a sense of pride over that. It's ingrained in their personality. Big nostrils indicate someone who spends money or energy easily. You may notice that, or pay attention to it and just see. It's not trying to lead you into thinking this way when you see these type of people. It's more a matter of having been observed and noted to see the patterns develop with those types of features. I'm not trying to like make you have a preconceived notion that this is how they are, how these personalities develop with, say, big nostrils. They spend money and energy freely. Let's say maybe you don't find somebody who's like that. Well, then everything I told you is false. You can negate everything after that. But there's nothing in the world that is absolute anyway, except for maybe God. Nothing is 100%. We can't predict anything 100%. The sun rises 99.999. The sun is guaranteed to rise tomorrow with a percentage of 99.9999% chance. It's not a guarantee. And that may be for this reading the personality maps, because drugs have a lot to do with how a person thinks and feels it. They said in this book, I think I even glanced over it, that if a person is under the influence of drugs, then the personality map may not be very effective. If you're dealing with the influence of drugs, alcohol, marijuana, cocaine, heroin, those change a person. We're talking, with Chinese face reading, we're talking about people who are sober, who are predictable with the reading the map of their face, not under the influence of any chemicals. And that's something to consider. You want to ask that. Yes, maybe some parts of the personality may come out with the traits through looking at them through Chinese face reading, but alcohol, all those drugs, change your personality. Now let's see, there's 3 zones to the face. The forehead zone is the top zone. It's called heaven. The middle zone around the nose, down to the tip, is called, let me start over. The heaven, mental, zone 1, the top part of our head is mental, and it's heaven. The middle portion is practical, human, and then the last part is pretty much the jaw and chin and lips, emotional, instinctual, and earth. So we have a heavenly portion at the top and earthy on the bottom. Earth is grounding, heaven is free thinking. It's just breaking the face down into a lateral way. Let's see here. A high forehead means you are a mental thinker. The roundness of the forehead shows imagination and a philosophical outlook on life. Let's see, and that was, they were describing the heaven, the dominant zone there, and somebody's a big forehead, a big round forehead will be seen as imaginative, somewhat imaginative. There's other features that bring that out more. Somebody would say a big nose, a big long nose indicates ambition. The dominance of this middle portion of the face shows strong business instincts and a desire to make things work. Okay, and I'll add to that, I like the portion where they talked about how a pointy nose, if somebody you notice has pointy nose, they like to travel. It's a arrow in a way, and it points them in the direction where they travel. I find that interesting. I have a pointy nose, and I definitely like traveling. It's partly why I'm playing this video. Dominant zone of the lower portion of the face. It shows they're an instinctive person who can act quickly when it feels right. And if you have a fullness in your lips, it can indicate an emotional nature. Let's see, we'll move on to face shapes. A square face is a leader athlete. So a perfectly square face, you can expect somebody who's going to want to be a leader or is a strong athlete. A rectangular face tends to have management or aristocracy aspect to them. So that would be like a longer face, not quite square. But square to the corners of the jaw, it's, you know, maybe a square jaw that's this along the same lines within a rectangle. A nice round face, perfectly round face. They're salespersons or social. Or an oval face is diplomats or host. So yeah, we're looking at the outer features. If you could put the person's face into a particular position, particular what do we call these? Shape. And there's more here. Triangle, scientist, radical. So it's just a shape of the face and a triangle. Diamonds. Let's see. Prima donna, autocrats. So their cheeks would flare out a little bit more to create the diamond face. Small forehead, wider cheeks, smaller jaw, chin. The trapezoid would be an inventor or performer. That means they're more dominant in the spatial regions of their head. The top portion of their head is a little wider, and then it narrows down to a more narrow jaw. They'll be more inventing or performer. Somebody, yeah, it's more of a thinker. Somebody, just a second here. Okay. Let's see. A bigger jaw. Somebody who has a smaller top portion of their head and it gets bigger towards the jaw. They're going to be more power hungry. Can still be mild, but I think of Mussolini during World War II as just a power hungry looking guy, just a powerful jaw. That type of person could really take a punch, like Tito Ortiz of the UFC. Don't recall ever seeing him get knocked out, but he could take a punch really good. And it's just an advantage with having a bigger jaw. They can have its disadvantages as well. Let's see. Those are the overall outlines of the face when you look at it. I like this, the 5-element creative and destructive cycles. I'll start, it's a trapezoid, so there's 5 points. They are water, wood, fire, earth, metal. They all have their aspects. Just to throw it out there, I consider myself earth. I really relate to that. See, water, it feeds wood, destroys fire. Colors are black, purple, blue. The wood, it helps fire, saps earth. Colors are green. Fire, it produces earth, melts metal, and the color is red. Earth, it creates metal, obstructs water. Colors are yellow, brown, terracotta. Metal produces water. Now that's a Chinese psychology. Metal produces water and chops wood. White metallics. I'll just say within this paradigm, I find that it has a lot to do with how the personalities affect each other. I'm arriving at a conclusion that I may not get along as well with water and wood personalities as I would with metal, earth, with like myself, and fire. There's just some predominant personalities that are harder for me to relate to and bond with than others. I can always tolerate different personalities and embrace the different perspectives, but to I don't know, build a close relationship with, to bond with, it could be easier to relate to personalities more similar to myself. There are predominant organs associated with the 5 personalities, which I find interesting, so I just want to say what they are. Water, the organ is kidney. Wood is liver. Fire is heart. Earth is stomach. Metal is lungs. Let's see. There's different personalities they talk about. Yeah, we went over the colors. What? Seasons? Let's see. There's in this you can look it up on your own too. There's different associations with these personalities, with these elements. There's colors, shapes. There's preferable shapes. There's preferable seasons, different weathers, different even sounds. For example, heart is associated with laughter. I mean, fire is associated with laughter because fire personalities draw a lot from their heart. Just with the elation of life, their hearts they draw a lot from their hearts. Their hearts tend to be strong, but they have a personality where they still draw a lot from it. It's just with the way they were born to draw that kind of energy, to have that perspective of life. There's actions these particular elements of personalities have, and senses. Some sense more freely. For me, food. The sense is tasting. For Earth, I'll just go over my personality. Earth. The organs are stomach. Body parts influenced are spleen and pancreas. Which is the stomach would. Yeah, okay. The organs, stomach. It's all a part of the digestive system. I have a tendency to enjoy eating. I find comfort in food. whereas other people may not, such as water may find more comfort in a intimate relationship. Shapes, slow and heavy. Earth tend to be more heavy set. Tend to may have a lower center of gravity. The sound of singing. Yeah, I can apply a little bit. Okay. Yeah, we could go into the different descriptions of the elements. They do hold their own place. There is a lot of good, accurate content. I'm going to skip over that. There's a lot. Okay, let's go to body parts. We'll start with the ears. There are a lot of key features that could tell a lot about a way a person. And you can tell what is that word? Just what they want. Okay. Large ears are indicative. Okay. If a person has a large ear, they have risk-taking ability. Small ears tend to have a cautious nature. So you can look for those differences in people a little bit. Sometimes people may have a particular hat on or long hair that covers up their ear. An ear that is broad across the top means they have the ability to take financial risks. So, the ear is narrow across the top, like Spock. So think of opposite of Spock for being broad across the top. And now we're talking about Spock, which is not at all broad across the top. It's a tip. The subject, it's a sign they have security issues and a need for regular income. So that's having it narrow. Let's see. If the ear is broad across the middle portion of the ear, not the top, now we're working down towards the middle. If it's really broad, they have the desire to take physical risks. So that's something to look for. If the ear is not broad but narrow across that middle, when you look at it from the side of their head, you have to take a measuring tape. If it's more narrow, they require physical safety. Okay, so big ears tend to indicate more risk-taking than smaller ears. Let's see, large earlobes, those dangly earlobes. If they're large, it's a sign of luck in old age. Okay. Small earlobes, so if they're not dangly, you can barely see them. And it shows they focus on the present and haven't started planning for the future. Okay, this may be difficult to describe. Attached earlobes. They're attached to their family. So it's hard to describe. The detached earlobes, we're talking about the bottom portion of the ear. If it's detached, the person, they create friendships that become like family. Let's see. The person has high ears. Now, that means like the top portion, and possibly the bottom portion. Yeah, the whole ear in general. Yeah. But you could look at the top portion. If it's about the eyebrow level, that top portion of the ear is about the eyebrow level, then it's a higher ear. The lower portion ear would be, you just look at the top part of that it would be more in the eye level. I mean, it's a slight change. It's really subtle. If they have a high ear, that means they will come in their own in their early 30s. If they have a low ear, they'll come into their own in their late 30s. The ear lines up with the person's eye. Yeah, then the high ears line up with the eyebrow. Okay. Close set ears, which you can barely see when you're looking straight at the person's face, means they have the ability to hear more than one conversation at a time. The people who have, those closer set ears tend to pay attention to more things. They're not so much talkers as they are listeners. I mean, you'd think somebody who has bigger ears would listen more. Not so much the case. Now let's see. Ears set off of the face. There's a person who has ears set off of the face. When you're looking straight at their face, the ear flares out a little bit more. Shows they're stubborn about following directions and sometimes hear only what they want to hear. So that's the difference between talkers and listeners. The ears flare out like we used to have somebody in the military call them radar, is his ears flared out like satellite dishes. That type of person is more of a talker than a listener. They're stubborn about following directions and hear only what they want to hear. Okay, let's move on to hairline. Let's see. An oval forehead. They are heavily influenced by their mother's teachings and most likely have excellent social skills and manners. So that's a part of the diplomat, which we discussed for the oval face. They were talking about the oval top portion of the head. They also said that I'm looking at a picture that shows they have small ears too, which also contribute to the person being heavily influenced by the mother's teachings. Let's see, if you have a broad hairline, so we're looking at where the forehead meets the hair. If that is broad for the hairline compared to other people, they have a desire to experiment with their life and possibly rebel against conformity. You could, I believe, like a James Dean or something like that. You look at his forehead and see that he's got a broad forehead, he's got broad hairline. Let's see. A forehead that goes back strongly in the corners and shows that they have a mind to find answers to difficult problems in an intuitive way. It's kind of like the balding effect. When most people seem to bald on the corners of their head, and they'll have like a horn in the center of the hairline that still remains as they're balding, and then eventually, as they continue balding further, that will go as well with the aging process. But it's pretty much saying somebody who has a bigger forehead with a bit of a balding effect. If you have a widow's peak, it helps a woman attract the opposite sex easily. That's interesting. If you have an M-shaped hairline, they tend to have a great deal of creativity and sensitivity. So it's not, how do they call this? Not like the broad hairline. It's actually got a shape to it, where the forehead meets the hair. A rounded forehead, viewed from the side. If you look at a person from the side and see that they have a rounded forehead, shows the person has an imaginative mind. Now, I think of like Reese Witherspoon. She has quite a rounded forehead, and I expect an imaginative mind as a result. And very different from a rounded forehead is a straight forehead. Shows us, and if you look at them from the side, you try to pick that up on the shape of their forehead. It shows they have a linear mind. If the forehead is slanted, when you're looking at them from the side again, it shows the person has a facile mind and negotiating ability. That's kind of an in-between there. Let's see, a high forehead indicates a person's intellectual mind and philosophical nature. A low forehead, the person needs to learn from experience more. They're a little more. If the person has like a smaller forehead, a lower forehead, they need to be more hands-on with activity, with learning and stuff. We could go into filtrums, but yeah, my video is about to end here. That's a heck of a bike ride. So I'm just going to let this play out. Thank you for listening. Later.